Simcha Shabbat, which means we're celebrating, it means joy, a joyous Shabbat. We're celebrating everyone with birthdays or anniversaries this month, and I'm going to point out that especially Helene and Bill, it's their 49th anniversary today, and I don't think anybody can believe that. That's a Simcha Mazel Tov moment if I ever heard of one. So Mazel Tov and happy anniversary. And I'm just going to let you know Bill still has it because he just said, "So Rabbi, you're going to be preaching to the choir tonight?" He still got it, huh, Helene? He still got it. And that's the other part of this. The reason why this is a musical Shabbat, and I don't pick what week it is that the Torah portion that we read this weekend is called, includes the Song of the Sea. So this weekend is called Shabbat Shira all over the world, wherever you are, and it is the Shabbat of the song, because it's the Song of the Sea. We read in the Torah portion that we make it across the Sea of Reeds, and we sing when we get to the other side. Some of the words we use in our music all the time in our services are part of that song, the song. The word in Hebrew for song is shir. So Shabbat Shir, it can also be a shirah. We're going to say the feminine version of this word song. We'll talk about that another day during biblical Hebrew times. That's Virginia's guitar, by the way. We always remember her when we're singing. That one someone gave me. It's just a decoration in case anybody feels like a little tambourine, you're welcome to. I wanted to point out before we start also that if you go down those stairs, everybody has to stay and eat something afterwards, by the way, but if you go down those stairs, I have what I think I called the Music Memory Museum. And we collected a lot of music from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they're on display there. Touch them, be gentle with them. Some of it is obviously old and fragile, but that was all music that was used by choirs here that we've collected. There's more, but that's still a nice representation. So enjoy that. That's kind of fun. The reason why we're doing an historical overview of music today is that in 1970, B'nai Zion celebrated 100 years in buildings. So this year, 50 years later, the year 2020, we will be celebrating 150 years in buildings. We are older as a congregation, older than 150 years old. And before we begin, I wanted to point out, and I don't know yet what day we did our 100th anniversary service. It doesn't say in the book. The book includes a history, which is up on the wall in here and things, but the 100th anniversary service included music by Gershon Kingsley. Anybody know Gershon Kingsley? He was a guy who made the Moog synthesizer very famous. He's the one who, among his most popular pop music, was a song called Popcorn. Boop, 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 boop. Remember? His stuff was, or if you ever went to Disney World and you heard their electronic parade thing, that was his music too. But he wrote, especially for the Shreveport Symphony and Chorale commemorating the B'nai Zion centennial, he wrote the sacred service that was done 50 years ago, which is pretty cool. And in the book that commemorates that day, there's a list of, it says this is a chapel, but then it says Shreveport Symphony Orchestra. There's no way that all those people fit in the chapel. That's this room. And the Shreveport Symphony Chorale all were part of this celebration. So the Shabbat Shira is not supposed to represent that moment. That's not what we are doing as part of this. We still intend to do a number of ceremonies and celebrations that will continue to, as I like to say, look back at with our 2020 vision, at our history, and look forward the best we can, because everybody's crystal balls are working right now, and try to see what we can for the future. So that's part of what it is. But today, it's Shabbat. So today you don't have to look backwards or forwards officially. We will be doing a service, though, today that will be almost 100% sung. I will call out, I hope I remember, if I don't call out a page number, just like wave at me or something, it means I'm very much in the moment and I forgot. But I will call out page numbers because the words are all in the prayer books in front of you, except for very few. And if you want to join, you're welcome to join by singing. You will find that most of the songs we're doing tonight are the songs that we will typically hear during a service, but I'm going to let you know historically when and where they were written, if possible, or at least something about the composer, like what years the composer lived. For example, Gershon Kingsley died December 2019. He just died a few weeks ago, which kind of surprised me. He was well into his 90s. And I will let you know some of that, because I can tell you one of the things that shocked me when I started coming to Reform services in the 1960s, songs that I thought were standards, that everybody knew everywhere we went, were really very young at the time. And some songs that, and I think you're going to find that for a lot, that even songs that feel like traditional chants were written within most of our lifetimes. And that surprised me. So some of them are songs that you may know from your childhoods, I hope so. And if not, I hope that you take this opportunity to let me know what songs you wished we had heard or you wish we were doing again, because we would like to continue this retroactive also. But I thought we'd get in the mood by doing this. So in order to represent all the time periods, this is a song that we introduced just recently. The origin of this song is not Jewish, but that doesn't keep us from singing something that helps us fulfill the commandment that says, Kol haneshama tehalel, which is what it says on my talit here. Your whole spirit shall sing and praise God. And we've got this one. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you've got to sing, oh God. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. But I got to hear you. You've got to clap when the Spirit says clap. You've got to clap when the Spirit says clap. Wait, I got to stop you. That's not good. You know why I have to stop you? Because there's that infamous T-shirt that I read once that said, friends don't let friends clap on 1 and 3. I'm just sorry. This is embarrassing. No clapping. Can you help us out with that, please, Adam? Be our music director and let us not clap on 1 and 3. We're going to clap, but not on 1 and 3. I mean, if you have to, if your spirit says clap on 1 and 3, you can. I'm not going to stop you next time. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. When the Spirit says clap, you got to clap, oh God. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. We're going to sing one more time. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing, oh God. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. I hope that your spirit will be telling you to sing for this whole service. The next thing we do in our congregation, the next thing we do is breathe, because some of us need to breathe. So I'm going to invite you to take a deep inhale through your nose and let it out slowly through your mouth like this. Relax, feel your body relax while you do it. Breathe. I learned long ago that sometimes the most important part of the music are the parts that are silent. You can't hear the other parts unless you can also hear the silence. So feel your breathing. Kol haneshama also means all of your breath will praise God. So I'm not going to tell you when to breathe anymore. Keep breathing, please, but keep breathing. We are going to invite the anniversary couple up. We're going to turn to page 65, and they're going to help us bless the candles and the wine, and I'm going to invite you to please rise. Page 65.
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Let there be joy.
Let there be light.
Let there be peace.
Let there be Shabbat.
So this song, the melody that we sing for the candle blessing, was written by someone named Abraham Wolf Binder. He was born in New York to a family of cantors and into a world enriched by synagogue music and Jewish folklore. He loved to use the melodies of trope as a basis for his compositions. Among many other musical positions, in 1948, he helped to found the HUC, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion School of Sacred Music. He lived from 1895 to 1966. And we sing, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We're going to continue on page 165 with the traditional melody of the Kiddush. The translation, if you'd rather be reading the translation, is on page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrahei kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Sorry, thank you. Amen. I heard that. All right. Everybody wish them a mazel tov again, and you may be seated if you say Shabbat Shalom to someone you came in with and someone you didn't come in with. We're going to turn to page 84, the song, and so you'll notice I'm going to introduce each song that we do. So if there's a time when we have to stand, other than that when we were already standing, I'm going to try to talk to you before you stand at times, so I may introduce even a few at a time. So Israel Goldfarb was born in Galicia, near Poland, and immigrated to New York in 1893. His brother was the more musical one. His brother immediately went to become a cantor, but Israel became a rabbi. However, his love of music influenced him to learn music education at Columbia and the school which eventually became Juilliard. He was ordained as a rabbi in 1902 in the same class as Mordechai Kaplan, the founder of the Reconstructionist movement. Goldfarb's main focus in his career was youth education and connecting youth to Judaism. As a rabbi, cantor, and educator, Goldfarb prepared many bar mitzvah students to read the Torah. His most famous pupil was composer Aaron Copland. A unique initiative of Goldfarb was the formation of, and he lived from 1879 to 1967. This particular song was written in 1918, and I'm telling you that because this puts it into an historical perspective, that one of the things that he did was he formed a chorus made of boys and girls in the synagogue. That was pretty rare at the time. We will see as we continue the service how the youth have been an influence in music. And as I say, we turn to page 84, And we welcome the angels that accompany us on Shabbat.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borechem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
At the bottom of 85, we have something called the Reader's Kaddish. And I can't tell you specifically who wrote this melody, but it was around the year 900 when this melody was established. And then we're going to go directly from that to page 86 in the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu and the Shema, the melodies were both written by a man named Solomon Sulzer. He was born in Austria. He officiated as a cantor in his hometown and was later appointed cantor at the Seitenstetten-Gasse synagogue in Vienna, where he stayed for 55 years. He was considered by some as the father of the modern cantorate, and as a result of his attempt to reform synagogue music by purifying existing melodies and reconstructing them according to the rules of harmony. Many synagogues in the mid-19th century used his melodies. He lived from 1804 to 1890. That's how old these melodies are. You will recognize them. But the first one we do, so the first song is the Kaddish. That one is traditional from about 900, and the next two are written in the mid-1800s. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba
Amen.
ve'alma divrach chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh
B'chayechon uvyomechon u'v'chaye dechol Bet Yisrael Ba'agala, ba'agala, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
And at the bottom of 87, the next one of the Sulzer ones, this comes from Deuteronomy 6:4, and we say together, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto
Le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated. We are going to continue with Deuteronomy 6:5 on page 88. We'll be chanting it with the biblical chant that comes from, so the chant was possibly written in the year 580, would you come up? 589 before the Common Era, but it was codified by the Masoretes in the 13th century. So we will be helping on page 88. Voila. here. Yeah. Go.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, amen. So you're going to notice that we may skip some things in the service so that we can sing the ones that we need and get everything we need to do with the music done. The truth is that in a Jewish service, ideally, we can sing the whole service. We don't have to skip, and we can sing it all, whether it's in Hebrew or in English. This one had a very popular English version that I grew up with in the 70s, but it turns out it's not one that we used here very often, so I'm going to skip that one for today. We are going to jump to page 91, and we are going to sing the song that is actually words from the Song of the Sea. We are going to sing, "Who is like you, eternal one among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, doing wonders?" This melody is written by Debbie Friedman. Debbie Friedman, Deborah Lynn Friedman, she was born. She was an American Jewish singer-songwriter whose compositions played an important role in dramatically shifting the aesthetics of liturgical music in the liberal Jewish movements of North America. Her compositional career began in the 1960s, developing out of the folk music and communal singing tradition of Jewish summer camps. Jewish youth first brought her music into the mainstream of Jewish life and into their synagogues, where many worshipers were seeking more accessible communal modes of prayer. Friedman's early compositions were designed to be accompanied by simple guitar accompaniment. And as we said, the words to this song are the words that you are going to read in the Torah portion. I'm not going to promise that this is the melody that was sung, but it's a fun one you get to participate in.
Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ledav hakodesh, norati hi lo dose pele, norati hi lo dose pele. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
Miriam led the women in dancing with their timbrels. That's what this is, and there's one down there too, so if you feel the Spirit to move you to do. Sorry? There is one. So actually, that's a really good point. There are two songs that are part of the songs in the Torah. One is a big one, that's a Moses' song, and one is a shorter one, that's the Miriam song. And Debbie Friedman wrote another song that was called Miriam's Song, which sometimes takes the place of Mi Chamocha in some services. We do it every year for Passover also. We go from that to page 92. The song on page 92, Vishamru, was written by a man named Moshe Rothblum. He was born in how old do you think that song is? Any idea how old this song is, the Vishamru? You want to guess? 1920s, she said, right? 1920s? Sound about right? You feel like you've been doing it forever and ever and ever? So this melody was written in 1967. That's why I'm saying I'm shocked about these things. Page 92, the Vishamru that we have to keep this Shabbat. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. So the guy who wrote that, Moshe Rothblum, was born in 1941. He was a singing rabbi, is a singing rabbi. He's recently retired. But he also acts, and he influences his students. He's out in California, where everybody acts. So he influences students to act and sing. This next one kind of surprised me. We will be turning to page 93. Adolf Kachko wrote this melody. He lived from 1988 to 1958. He was born in Russia, Poland, and by the age of 6, he was already singing in the synagogue choir. He came to the United States in 1921. He became involved with the conservative movement. Kachko possessed a transparent, flexible, and lyric baritone voice, which he used with great sensitivity in interpreting prayers, thus reflecting the virtuoso European chazanisha, the cantorial traditions, and refinement and dignity. When his conservative congregation chose to use an organ, which apparently in those days many did, he would blend with the instrument, his friends said, in ways that even those who knew the old world cantors and knew that they weren't sung with organs in those days, they felt transported back to the singing of their youth. So this is from him. We will be on page 893, and I need you to please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. This section is supposed to be made up of around 18 prayers, and we are going to skip many of them. Know that they are prayers of help and asking for peace and asking for having our prayers received but I'm going to ask you to sit down. It is officially the most important part of our service, and we're still just skipping right through all of them. I hope that you did that last prayer. I should have warned you ahead of time. Do it with the intention so that it covered all of the rest of it. But that section ends with a prayer about peace, which we'll sing on page 96. This song was written by, the melody was written by Jeff Klepper and Danny Freelander in anybody know? You have a guess? What? 74? Did you say 74? How did you know that? That was a very good guess. It was written in 1974. It was really 1974. They've been writing music together and playing and performing as a group called Kol Beseder, and I hope they'll be here this year, they promise. They're both now retired. Jeff Klepper is a cantor, and Danny Freelander is a rabbi, and they are potentially the most influential musical voices in what has now become known as the American Nusach, in other words, the American worship genre. The version of Shalom Rav that we sing is used in almost every single major religious division, movement, denomination. You may or may not have seen this, but there was one episode of Grey's Anatomy that this song was played. Did you know? First 10 minutes, there was a horrible car pileup, and someone was afraid because they were hearing, I'm not going to say, they were hearing things coming from the cars around them, and they were scared, and so someone in one of the cars was singing this, saying, you know, my mom always sang this to me as a lullaby. And so they sang this song to them. They used Jeff and Danny's Shalom Rav. When Jeff commented about that in an interview about that episode, he said that he found it interesting that they said that it was used as, he thought it was poignant how they used his melody. It seemed appropriate in that context. But he said that it was interesting that they said that the mother sang it always as a lullaby, because he wrote a Sim Shalom that was always, or an Oseh Shalom, I think, that was always used as a lullaby for his kids. And he never thought to sing Shalom Rav as a lullaby to his children. But this is one that almost everyone in every denomination sings. We are on page 96, and I'm sorry that this is one of the few songs that we have that does not have a transliteration for it.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Ki hatahu melech Adon lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. V'tov be'emecha levarek et Amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Tasim Lo'olam. Tasim.
At this point in the service, you get to sing whatever is in your heart, but we sing silently for a silent prayer. top of page 97. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. So I'm embarrassed to tell you that I don't know who is the composer of that melody yet. I've been looking and couldn't find it in our books, which is a little bit surprising because of the people I've polled in the congregation about what songs they remember singing when they were young. And it's like the hardest thing to do is to say, what melody Mi Chamocha do you know? And like, I don't know. This is one song that everybody says they remember that melody from their youth. I sang it in the 60s and 70s, but people who are older than me remember it from their youth as well. So we needed to include that. The next song is on the inside back cover. This part of our service, our hearts and our prayers turn to those who are ill or recuperating as we say prayers for people, for people's healing. And this is another song written by Debbie Friedman. As I mentioned earlier, Debbie Friedman died just a few years ago, and she was only 59. She started writing some of her music in the early 70s and made a huge impact on the music scene because she made singing and music accessible. She would put melodies to the English versions of prayers, and people felt they could relate to that, for example. And she made such a huge impact on the music world that when she died, they made the cantorial school of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, they named it the Debbie Friedman School of Cantorial Music. When she was about 20 years before she died, she developed some health problems, took some medication for it, and developed some severe problems from that, and wound up taking a little bit of time and focusing on prayers and music that helped with healing. And this is one of the songs that came from that period. She learned that sometimes, even when you are suffering, your life is still a blessing. And she learned how to do that. It was kind of remarkable to watch her during those days. We're talking now about the mid-'80s, I think, is when she got sick. And she would barely be able to walk. And then she'd get up on stage and she would perform. And then she'd almost collapse again afterwards. Sorry? She was actually never ordained or invested, as they called it, a cantor, but she was cantorial soloist at some congregations, and eventually wound up teaching music in the cantorial school before they had named it for her, and taught thousands of kids how to, music at camp. They had these song leading camps, but she was part of that generation with Jeff and Danny and Louis Dobin and who were writing the music that the kids were bringing back and to their congregations and changing things. Although I'm not going to lie to you, one of the people, and I won't tell you who it was, but I can tell you that when she grew up here, her initials were MW, and when she got married, her initials were MW. But she said, "You mean all that music where it sounds like high school cheerleaders are shouting at us during services?" And I'm like, yeah, I never thought of it like that. Yes. And she said, "Why is it that some of the music just don't match the notes?" And I'm like, I wonder about that too. And I try to pick only music that the words and the melodies match each other and that we try to sing. But sometimes when we're singing older songs, like you'll see when you look through the museum, if you're looking at songs that were written for an Ashkenazic mode, the accents changed and things, and now we're trying to make it work with the new pronunciations, and it doesn't always work. But this is one she wrote. There's a little bit of Hebrew to it and a little bit of English. But first I'm going to ask, if you have someone for whom you would like us to be saying a prayer for healing, I invite you to call their names out. for all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud. We sing together. Find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. This is the time in the service where normally we would bless those who are serving, including the military and the first responders, and the first responders now also include doctors and nurses. But now is when I will give up my pulpit to the pulpit singers. Did you know that Chancel means Bima? So our Bima buddies are going to come up and sing.
Some people asked me what Chancel choir was. Chancel is what we call our Bima, right?
That's right.
That's our area down front. So I live a double life, for those of you that don't know me. I'm just a poser, right? Y'all come on while I'm talking here. So I work down the street as well, and these are some of my friends from Broadmoor United Methodist in the choir. We usually have around 36, 38 on Sunday mornings. Friday evenings, is a little more difficult for us to get folks here. So
Me too.
we have about 24 or so here tonight. So I did not do my homework like Rabbi did and tell you all these wonderful things about all the songs that we sang tonight. I can't tell you that the 3 songs that we're singing tonight are all written by living people, which I love, and I like to be a champion of that. I think that's really exciting. This first one is called Invocation, and it just asks God to send the Spirit to each of us. So turn this off. And usually I get to stand in front and wave my hands because I have a pianist, but he could not be here tonight. So if there's a wrong note, I ask for forgiveness.
Sing us your
I just realized this is actually kind of awkward for me. Like, you all exist in a different world than these people, and it's like they're meeting at the same time. Like, it's not supposed to be that way. So meet them, you meet them. These are my other friends that I get to hang out with on Friday nights. So, my other weekend buddies. You are correct. This is an old. I've got peace like a river in my soul. This is a beautiful setting of that text.
I've got
Yeah, isn't that one nice? That's a beautiful arrangement of that. And then we're going to end our sermon today with a setting of This Little Light of Mine. I'm going to let it shine. Keith Hampton, he's a living composer. He does a lot of multicultural music, and I like a lot of the stuff that he does. Sean Luke Grady is going to be singing our little solo here in the middle. I forced him to do that as of Wednesday night. So thanks, Sean, for doing that. And thanks to B'nai Zion, and thanks to my wonderful choir for being here tonight.
the risk of setting a bad precedent, you're never going to stand an ovation for my sermons and clap at my sermons, but I think you should clap at this one and stand for this one. That was wonderful. It's part of the point of music.
So you were invited to come sing at our services
exactly
on
right.
Sunday morning.
Except our songs are a lot shorter. We could do it. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. So, Mr. President, do you want to sing our announcements? You want to sing the announcements next?
He does, yeah.
You want to come up and sing the announcements for us? We're almost done with our service, but... Yeah, please sing the announcements for us.
Sing the announcements. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you to Helaine and Bill for the blessings, and of course, happy anniversary today. Rabbi and Adam, of course, thank you, and thank you all. It's really, really special. We appreciate you taking your time on a Friday evening to be with us, and we really enjoyed that. It's always a Shabbat every year that is special, a musical Shabbat for us, and thank you for making it extra special for us. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow morning, 9 to 9:30, will be a kid Shabbat. It's geared especially for families with young children. Rabbi Jana will sing and move around the synagogue and tell stories and share challah and grape juice with children and their families. So please come. Tomorrow morning also from 9:45 to 11, Rabbi Jana will lead Torah study, and we will be discussing the Torah portion that includes the Song of the Sea. And Sunday, February 9th, from 10 to 12, will be a mitzvah morning. We will be volunteering to clean up the Right to Play Leaps and Bounds playground at 4100 Uri Drive. There will be some tools available, but if you have your own gloves or tools, it would help. Please join us at 7 o'clock this Tuesday, February 11th. B'nai Zion, the people of the book club, will be discussing the book A Bend in the Stars by Rachel Barenbaum. And there are also 3 opportunities coming up to help sort food for distribution at the Northwest Louisiana Food Bank on Texas Avenue. It will be from 9 to 11:30 p.m. And you can RSVP.
AM. Sorry, AM. If it said PM, I'm sorry. AM. You said PM. That's really late.
You're right. Then that would be, you would be late. 9 to 11:30 a.m. and you can RSVP using the online form or contact me at the B'nai Zion office. We need volunteers for Thursday, February 13th and Monday, February 17th, again from 9 to 11:30 a.m. We have moved back in the office space, still moving in supplies and files. We again thank you for all your patience and understanding and the many donations. There will be a dedication service. We almost have a date planned. Please watch for details. Donations were made to B'nai Zion for public flowers in honor of everyone with birthdays and anniversaries by B'nai Zion Sisterhood, and in loving memory of Dora Weiss Diebner by Gloria Rosen. Again, Adam and the choir, thank you again very much for making this special night for all of us.
At this time, I need to call everyone with birthdays or anniversaries up, and I need 4 people to hold the polls, because we are going to put them under the chuppah. And I know who you are. And that includes anybody from Adam's group. If you have birthdays or anniversaries in February, come on up. Come on up. If your birthday or anniversary is in February, you get to choose from this lovely selection of mugs, either the handled coffee mug or the travel mug. Please take one. I know you don't want anything. We tried to think of something cool. So the best prayer that we can say for you about your birthday is that we are grateful that you made it to this time. We say the blessing that says, thank you, God. Actually, I have a page number if you want. It's at the bottom of page 178. We thank you for giving us life and sustaining us and for reaching this special moment. And this particular melody was written by a man who was born Heinrich Peak, and but they call him Zwika Peak. He was born in 1951. He was born in Poland. Yeah, Zwika Peak. He is an Israeli pop composer and singer. His career was in most of his famous songs was in the 70s. He was elected many times as Israeli Male Singer of the Year, and he was also in the early 70s. He was in this very popular version of the musical Hair in Israel. He had really long, cool hair. He was a punk rock star. He did study, though, music at the conservatory in Ramat Gan. He started performing at the age of 15. He wrote some, but the fact that he was a punk rocker is part of what I love about this thing, because he wrote some of the most popular prayers today in Israel and throughout the world, like a version of the Shema that we sometimes do, and the Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. From 1973. Happy anniversary. And for the lovebirds, I would love for the anniversary couple to come up and help me with the Aleinu. On page 148, as we put this away, and we're doing the version in English, what did we decide in the end? Not that one, right? Yeah, not that one, right? I think the one that we chose was actually this one. I don't know. We're going to do the Aleinu. On page 148, when the ark is open, please rise. Yeah. Please rise. When the ark is open. Yep. Taking my book.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu keglayei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kekol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And on the facing page we sing.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
And when the ark is closed, you may be seated. So I didn't think you wanted more stuff. I didn't think you needed more mugs, but in honor, I figured you could use an honor. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Thank you very much. Mazel tov. So our closing, well, no, before we do closing song, we don't sing our Kaddish, but at this time our prayers turn to those who are no longer with us, and we remember those. We turn to page 151. So we acknowledge that this year, since the beginning of January, we have lost 6 people in our military, in American military already. We've lost 15 police officers. That means we lost 5 police officers this week alone. We've lost 3 canine officers. That means the dogs. We've already lost 3 dogs who are fighting for us, who are first line. And we've lost 8 firefighters this year alone. We hope that their memories are blessings and that their families are consoled, and that we're always grateful for those people who run into dangerous situations so that we can be safe. And we continue on page 151. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We obviously turn to page 152. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone, for each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has taken from us this past 30 days. In our community, we remember Joe Levy, Ike Muslow, Rachel Greenberg, Rosenthal, Selber. If anyone of our friends or anyone I didn't know to ask, if anyone has anyone who they've lost in the past 30 days, would you call their names out, please? Yeah, we'll remember, Bob. Thank you. And remember parents of congregants who died the past year. We remember Claire Anthony, Lucy Branis, Isabel Posner, Carol Ginsberg, Johnny Engelbert, and Dean Thomas Pratt. If anyone here has a parent they've lost this past year, you're invited to please call their names out. And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. Those for whom we're observing the Yortsites this week, the anniversaries of their death this past week, include Eugenie Abramson, Samuel Atkins, Steve Branis, Marguerite Great, Louise Braun, Dora Weiss-Dibner, Zelda Finkelstein, Isidore L. Goldman, Benny Goldstein, Irene Hermer, Surf Hirsch, Morris Hirsch, Mrs. Saul Kaplan, Rabbi David Lefkowitz Jr., Betty Levy, Philip Ben Lieber, Doris Katz Meltzer, and Cheryl S. Morris and Helen S. Wilhelm. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise, as together we recite the Mourner's Kaddish, which is found on page 154. The translation is on 155. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayei chon u'v'yomei chon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'alev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. You may be seated. So our closing prayer is found on page 159, our closing song. The melody was written by Julius Freudenthal. There's been, and he lived from 1805 to 1874. and he was originally from Germany. And there's a lively, I'm going to call it debate, among other composers about whether this melody has its foundation as a Christian hymn or a German drinking song. Most
Same.
scholars today don't believe that either of them is the origin, but we don't mind whichever one it is. We like singing it. We're going to do Ein Keloheinu on page 159.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
I don't know, the jury's still out on that one. It doesn't look like anybody with birthdays or anniversaries took one today. They're not for, anyway. Now we call up anyone under the age of 13 who would like to come and help us say the blessing for the food, because before we eat all the delicious stuff that they've been putting out for us, because that's another way for all of your weekend buddies to get to know each other, is over singing and over food. Perfect combination. You come stand over here, hold on to the bottom, and ready, get set. Oh, it's adorable, perfect for 3 people. Ready? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. I take the plate, you take the bread. Take the bread, split it 3 ways. That's perfect. There's plenty of bread for grown-ups up there. Take it. Please rise for the closing benediction. We should have sung this one, huh? There is nothing that I love more than singing with you. I love this. Thank you for allowing us to do this every year, doing something musical, something creative. It's going to be different, hopefully every time. And I love this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate how you all participating here with us. This was kind of a dream come true, to have some interfaith, getting to meet the other part of your life here, your other weekend thing. Now it feels everything's out in the open finally. Phew. So this is good. We can say hello to each other when we see each other at Target and stuff now. But this is, I love being able to sing with you. Music really opens up my heart, and I'm so glad to be doing this with you. Hearing the history of our music in our synagogue is, I hope, also a kind of, I hope you enjoyed that journey as much as I did. That was fun. As I say, sometimes we do more music and less, but I thought this was a nice way to do it. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you be blessed. May you be protected. May God bless you, and may God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. May the light of God's face, I want you to feel it, shining upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face always be lifted up to you. God always has something that God should look up to you about. And tonight it's about the singing, I think. And may God grant you peace. Shabbat shalom. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing, oh God. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing.